Hello and greetings to everyone. From Germany, Ananda Vihara, this is Ayya Phalanyani speaking. And today we're in our meditation hall, the meditation hall of Ananda Vihara. And I just rushed in and tried to find a position here because where I was earlier there was no internet, so I hope it will be stable. I was told that we will have glass fiber internet maybe from this autumn onwards. So see if we can get the border. If my head is cut off, that's okay, but if the Buddha's head is cut off, then that's not good. I think like this we will do. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang saranang gacchami. Okay. Slowly people are coming. I had a real trouble today to get this work. I think there is a Facebook page, the main page of Buddhist Insight is somehow not connecting, but at least YouTube is connected, and maybe some others via Facebook will be able to join, but I'm not too sure about it. Anyway, in any case, we will, as we usually do, take some moments, some minutes to just sit and breathe so that we get to where we are and that we get our minds ready to listen to the Dhamma. Oh, I see, this must be a Facebook sign that I see there. So most probably Facebookers are also connected. I'm happy to know that. I thought it wouldn't work. So take some deep breaths in and out, and wherever you are in this world, and whatever you have done, or whatever you are about to do, now you are sitting there, exactly in that spot where you are. And just collect yourself, gather yourself at that same spot. Get yourself ready to listen to the Dhamma. The world outside is rushing. The world outside is maybe hectic and stressful. But now is still. Now it is silent. Now our breath is softly, smoothly, and calm, filling our lungs with air. And we release all the air, and with it, all the tension that we have. that we might have. Most probably there are tensions in the belly. Most probably our shoulders are somewhat tensed. Just relax them. Breathe into the shoulders, and while you breathe out, you relax. Breathe into your belly and then relax. Our neck, usually in the back here, there's a lot of tension because we pull our head into the front because we want too much, So check your back and your neck and release the tension and release all the wanting. For now, you don't want anything but relax and get ready to listen to the Dhamma. You might have just gotten up, ready to go to work, or you have worked already and are ready to go to bed, or if you are in Europe somewhere as I am, you're in the middle of the day and there are still things to do. Whatever you're about to do it relaxed and to kind of make a bridge to our today's topic. Do it skillful, do it wise. We're going to talk about a sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya. I have it with me, and I most probably cannot read it out entirely, but I will read some parts. It's number 152, the Indriya Bhavana Sutta. And in our translation that we're using today, which is the one of Bhikkhu Bodhi in the middle length discourses, it is called the development of the faculties. Sometimes it is called the development of the senses, and Indriya is there translated as senses, and I don't think that's correct. So I'm very, very happy with Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation here. And Indriya is a word that can mean faculties. It is a word, that there is a god, a ruler god, Indra, and there is a connection between those words. So Indriya has a connotation of something that rules. It's not the ruler, but it has somewhat a controlling and ruling function. And this sutta is about, if you want to say, the senses, our sense doors. And it's brilliant, how we see the development, how we can see the development from a normal human being, a person in training, and an arahant who doesn't have to train anymore. This sutta, it took place at Kajangala, and in a grove of Mokhilu trees. I'm not too sure what kind of trees these are. That is not of very much important. But there was a student, a Brahmin student of the teacher Parasarya. And the pupil's name was Uttara. So this Uttara went to the Buddha and talked with, oh, Alex. Hi, that's great. That's lovely. Happy to see you. Well, at least to see your name. So, this student of Parasarya, namely Uttara, is sitting together with the Buddha. And the Buddha asks him, Uttara, how does your teacher teach his disciples the development of the faculties? And Uttara says, here, Master Gautama, one does not see forms with the eye, one does not hear sounds with the ear. This is how the Brahmin Parasarya teaches his disciples the development of the faculties. And one might wonder, what is he talking about? And of course, probably they are talking about some meditative attainments like some jhanas, where one does not see forms and does not hear sounds. But he isn't saying that, Uttara. So the Buddha says, if that is so, Uttara, then a blind man and a deaf man will have developed faculties according to what the Brahmin Parasarya says. For a blind man does not see forms with the eye, and a deaf man does not hear sounds with the ear. When this was said, the Brahmin student Uttara Parasarya's pupil sat silent, dismayed, with shoulders drooping and head down, gloom, and without response. So he didn't know what to say to that. He only heard that from his teacher, and he didn't know what to say then, how to continue the discussion. You know, sometimes the pupils of other teachers go to the Buddha and try to challenge him, and then ask a question or start a discussion, and want to challenge him and want to find fault with the Buddha's teaching. But here it is different from the beginning. The pupil or the student Uttara didn't have any chance right from the beginning. So skillfully, then the Buddha does not talk further to Uttara, the student, but talks to Ananda and says, Ananda, the Brahmin Parasya, teaches his disciples the development of the faculties in a way, but in the noble one's discipline, the supreme development of the faculties is otherwise. And maybe you have been here listening last week, and they were also, we had this a very similar set, that there was somebody who said something, and the Buddha said, well, yes, in your teaching this is what you say, but in our supreme or noble teaching it's something different. And the student asks, no, Ananda says, now is the time, blessed one. Now is the time, sublime one, for the blessed one to teach of the supreme development of the faculties in the noble one's discipline. Now, Ananda, here. Now, Ananda, how is there the supreme development of the faculties in the noble one's discipline? Here, Ananda, when a bhikkhu sees a form with the eye, there arises within him what is agreeable. There arises what is disagreeable. There arises what is both agreeable and or disagreeable. He understands thus, there has arisen in me what is agreeable. There has arisen what is disagreeable, or there has arisen what is both agreeable and or disagreeable. But that is conditioned, gross, dependently arisen. This is peaceful. This is the sublime. That is equanimity. The agreeable that arose, the disagreeable that arose, and the both agreeable and disagreeable that arose, cease in him, and equanimity is established. Just as a man with good sight, having opened his eyes, might shut them, or having shut his eyes, might open them, so too, concerning anything at all, the agreeable that arose, the disagreeable that arose, and both, the agreeable and disagreeable that arose, cease as quickly, just as rapidly, just as easy, and equanimity is established. This is called the noble one's discipline, the supreme development of the faculties regarding forms cognizable by the eye. So now let's have a closer look to what we have here. What we have here is with the example of the eye faculty, or the sense of the eye. We have what we all do. Sometimes we see things and we are happy that we see things, these things. We sometimes see things that make us unhappy, or that we find disagreeable, annoying, that anger us, displease us, or we see things that do neither, or that first please us and then displease us, or that first displease us and then are pleasing us. So there are a variety of options, but it's kind of limited, but it happens when we see. The same can happen when we have a near contact. So when we hear a sound, we have either agreeable, disagreeable, or neither agreeable nor disagreeable feelings about it or thoughts about it. And this comes just as it comes. And this comes with all the senses, with the smell and the odor, with the taste and the flavor, um, with touch and tangibles, and even with the mind and mind objects. All of our senses, sense faculties, are ready to grasp anything that comes and ready to judge, ready to find it agreeable, find it displeasing, or find it, well, I don't care. But that is not what we shall do. This week, today, it's about a bhikkhu. Last week, if you remember, we took a sutta from the Majjhima Nikaya of the householder chapter. So it's the same teaching for all of us. It's whether you or me or a bhikkhu or whoever has to practice the same thing. And when there are senses and the senses function, say they are not impaired, and we are mentally in a normal mode, then we have this happening. This is a very normal worldly thing. We have a sense contact, like we see something, we hear something, we smell, taste, feel, or think something. And that is a contact that has been made. So the normal people, basically everyone, reacts with being pleased, feeling kind of displeased, having anger, being fascinated, or being ignorant or indifferent about it. So this is a way the worldling does it. The worldling functions. The similes that the Buddha gives in for each sense door is for the eye, we had it. It's just be as quick as opening and closing the eyes. One who has trained well could come to equanimity about it. So our reaction of being displeased, pleased, or neither is the normal. But it has nothing to do with equanimity. Equanimity is that what we shall achieve? Is that what we aim for? That what we strive for? And that is regardless I remind or repeat. That is regardless whether that is gross or subtle, whether whatever that is, doesn't matter. It is just arisen, dependently arisen out of the situation. Everywhere around us, things happen. And we have the sense faculties and notice these things. And the way of the arahants would be to have full equanimity about these things and not being shaken by something that is agreeable or disagreeable. Not even thinking it's neither nor. Just not judging it. Just not act in the normal way. Like judging and making up your mind about what you experience. But just there is just a fly has well has come in contact with my head. I heard the sound and I felt an itch, and the sound and the touch made a tiny little shiver. You probably could see it. It was not that tiny. So because we have the tendency, and I'm not fully in equanimity, there's this shaking. There's this, oh, what's that? There's this, I don't want to hear that sound. Don't want to be bothered. I don't want that itch. So we are reacting. The fly came in the very perfect timing to really show what I mean. Something happens and we react, finding it agreeable or disagreeable, or neither nor. And I tried to find it neither nor, but I was annoyed. I have to admit, I didn't want it. Although this was a very, very brief moment, and I could, with a breath, calm down and not scratch and not to smash or something. But it went on. It was just not like noting, no physical reaction, and just being equanimous about it. Something touched, and like when you touch the water, when it touch the surface of the water, it vibrates and the waves are spreading out. This is happening with every contact that we experience, whether that be a seeing contact, a hearing, a smelling, a tasting, a touching, or a mental contact. It creates waves. It's a contact that is like disagreement, I disagree. And then eventually it gets larger, or possibly it just calms down. But for us, people, it's not as an arahant. There is an experience and there is equanimity about it. Just as quickly as you could open or close your eyes. So it's again, as last week, about the equanimity that we strive for. And that equanimity in regards to a sense touch, to a sense contact, that is what we should strive for. That we could get away, that we could calm down this being shaken by liking, disliking, or neither disliking nor liking. So this is for all the senses, as I said, and this was for the normal people. How? Ananda is a disciple in higher training, one who has ended upon the way. Here, Ananda, when a bhikkhu sees a form with the eye, hears a sound with the ear, smells an odor with the nose, tastes a flavor with the tongue, touches a tangible with the body, cognizes a mind object with the mind, there arises in him what is agreeable, there arises in him what is disagreeable, there arises what is both agreeable and disagreeable. He is repelled, humiliated, and disgusted by the agreeable that arose, by the disagreeable that arose, and by both the agreeable and disagreeable that arose. So the situation is the same. There is a contact. Something happens. The fly came back. Or something happens. And it arises dependently. So not because we want it or we don't want it to happen. It just happens because of the situation. And now, here it is written for the training, for the one. So before, it's just like that, it happens, and we either are feeling it to be pleasing, displeasing, or neither nor. Here, the one in training, the one in higher training, is repelled, humiliated, and disgusted by the agreeable that arose, by the disagreeable that arose, by both the disagreeable that arose. That doesn't mean that we always have to like everything to shut down and being disgusted by whatever arises. But that is a training for us not to be fascinated so much anymore, so that we learn that we do not follow after every sense pleasure. And sometimes in this regard, also, we must say, if we follow our pleasure of being annoyed. So we train to be humiliated by the agreeable and the disagreeable and the neither nor. And there is something like when you go through meditation retreats or the process of purifying your mind, that you need to understand adinava, that the things are really suffering. And then follows understanding about nibbida. And so you become disenchanted. And this is what it's about, that you learn not to run after the things, not to be reactive and follow after, yell and get angry when you feel like, oh, there is something I could get angry about, or be fascinated and grasping greedily when there is something agreeable. But you learn to see the things as suffering, as they really are. And sometimes this leads to being repelled by things. You know, now I don't know a simile or an example. Yeah, maybe the normal mosquito story. There you have a mosquito. I remember I was sitting under a Bodhi tree in Thailand practicing. And that was a sapling Bodhi tree of the Bodhi tree in India. So it was kind of a very auspicious moment. And I was meditating, and there was a mosquito coming. And you know, when you hear a mosquito coming, something very, very rudimental comes up. There are feelings of aversion that instantly arise just by the sound of a mosquito. So you hear that. Bzzz. And of course, you want to live, you don't want to have malaria or dengue or whatever else. So when it comes closer and the body gets more and more tensed, and you feel like, no, I don't want that. And there is a deep, deep rooted disagreement with that mosquito coming and bite you. But you sit there and you determine that you sit there until the alarm goes off, and you would not ever move. So you can either move and ruin it all, or you can try to learn to sit with it and to learn to be repelled and humiliated and disgusted by the thought of shushing the mosquito away. You can be repelled and disgusted by the thought of killing the mosquito. So you need to learn by using the feeling of humiliation, of being repelled and disgusted, you learn to calm down and let the mosquito just land and suck your blood. And be ready to get malaria or dengue or nothing. Just thoughts and fears. So this is one way in which this repellent, humiliated, and disgusted really does make sense. On the way from the worldling with a normal mindset and the normal way to reaction to when there is a mosquito, pam, to learn, no, I am harmless, I will not ever blame this mosquito, even if it makes me sick. And I will wish it a very good meal. This is not equanimity. This is a very, very active process of getting over the feeling of this is disagreeable, this is not agreeable, this is agreeable, this is neither nor. This is a very, very hard training, and it's called the higher training. So it's the time where people relearn, rewire their brains, and relearn their actions. That is the higher training of one who understands that killing any living being, for example, is not the way, and that breaking any of the 5 sila is not the way to enlightenment or of getting over the I'm laughing because the fly is walking across my hands. It's itching so much. I'm not going to react. So that was for one who is in training. Any way of training is good when it leads to equanimity. So either I can be repelled, humiliated, and disgusted by my own reaction towards something because I notice I have such a greed for that cake. Oh, I shouldn't just reconsider, or if there is something that we don't like, we also can be repelled and humiliated and disgusted about our reaction that we usually, commonly would display. So this is how it is like to be one in training. And now for an arahant, or for somebody who really has developed the faculties and is not one in training anymore, it would yet be different. The way one would see things. unfortunately, I can't speak of my own experiences here, but I can read what it's about. And how Ananda is one, a noble one, with developed faculties. Here, Ananda, when a bhikkhu sees a form with the eye, hears a sound with the ear, smells an odor with the nose, tastes a flavor with the tongue, touches a tangible with the body, cognizes a mind object with the mind, there arises in him what is agreeable. There arises what is disagreeable. There arises what is both agreeable and disagreeable. If he should wish, may I abide perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive, he abides perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive. He should, if he should wish, may I abide perceiving the repulsive in the unrepulsive. He abides perceiving the repulsive in the unrepulsive. If he should wish, may I abide perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive and the unrepulsive. He abides perceiving the unrepulsive in that. If he should wish, may I abide perceiving the repulsive in the unrepulsive and the repulsive. He abides perceiving the repulsive in that. And if he should wish, may I, avoiding both the repulsive and the unrepulsive, abide in equanimity, mindfully and fully aware. He abides in equanimity towards that, mindfully and fully aware. That is how one is a noble one with developed faculties. And I didn't think of examples for all of the options that we have, like perceiving the repulsive in the unrepulsive. That would maybe be something like, don't know, a flower. There's an orchid just behind me, standing by the Buddha. So this beautiful orchid, the normal person would just see the orchid and think, oh, beautiful, or oh, only so little flowers left, or whatever they think about this. The one in training would see the same orchid and try not to think anything about the orchid, and feel repelled to think anything about the orchid. And the Arahant, as I said, I can't speak of personal experience, unfortunately, but as I understand it, the Arahant would see the orchid that is beautiful and would be able to see it as something repulsive. Or here, now I remember something for the opposite. As an example, I used to have, I don't know how that is called, agoraphobia? No. Well, I used to really dislike spiders. And on the way of practice, from really like being, if I had to be in the same room with a spider, I could not relax. I was just like, oh, look all around me. Where is that spider? And you have a development, in the training. In Thailand, we had spiders like this large, and you have to get used to it because they are there, and they share a room with you if you want it or not, and you can't really get them out, or if you get them out, they come back. So little by little, I learned to accept the existence of spiders and not being to be totally tensed and averse to spiders. And now even I'm having spiders in my room, um, knowing it's good for orchids. So I can just have them together and let them do their way. Yeah. Anyway, so um, there is a process. I'm still far away from seeing the beautiful in spiders. Maybe I could, if I ever became an arrow hunter, that should be possible. For now, it is not, because this way of seeing things is just not possible for my non-arahant eyes. This is a way that we need to train to be able. So there is no letting out of a step. It takes its time and it takes the training. But then one day you just develop so much equanimity about these things that to stick with the example of the spiders, I would then possibly be able to sit there and have a spider walking across me without freaking out. And not only that, but being totally and absolutely equanimous about it. And yeah, so I wanted to share today with you the stages of the practice. And it is important to understand that there are different stages for a normal person or worldling, for somebody who is in the training. That means who is already a stream enter and really needs to strive hard for arahantship, and then for somebody who does not need to train anymore. And you could perceive the unrepulsive in the repulsive, or vice versa, or you could just give metta, or you should just have mudita or karuna or whatever else. It would just be there. You would not be thrown back and forth with the feelings that arise, with the agreeable, the disagreeable, or the non disagreeable or agreeable. So now there. Yes. So Kit is sharing an experience with us, which I find very, very beautiful. She says, I was also terrified of spiders. I meditated under a spider web for 6 months and got over my fear by seeing her work so hard. It just saved a spider from a I just saved a spider from my shower as you were speaking. It does work. It does indeed work. It is a decision that we make that we want to make it work. If we don't want it, it wouldn't. But the more you understand, the more you think and ponder about the five precepts, and the more you want to see yourself as really what the Buddha says, a harmless person who does not wish any harm to any being that is on in existence, then you need to develop these things. You need to even get into some arrangements with spiders or beings that you dread. So it's a decision and it's work to do. And if we remember the sutta that we had last week, if you want to reread it or re-listen, we talked about that last week, last Wednesday, and it was the Potaliya Sutta. Do I remember the number? I don't. Maybe I can just find it. If I hadn't thought about it, I would have known, but oh, this mind. Here it is, 54, Majjhima Nikaya, 54. And what we kind of took away from there is that the whole process is learning by doing. It doesn't happen by itself. It happens because you decide you want it to happen, and then you work for it. You make it possible. So, and I think if there are no important questions, the fly and I will say goodbye. If you have a question, then please quickly write it and let us know. Okay, so if there are no questions, I will just let you go to bed or to work, wherever you have to go to. You have a very good day, a very good night. Have all the blessings. Bye-bye. See you next week.